Good evening, I'm Patricia Vallone with the CTV News Update. As the nation pauses to observe the 9/11 anniversary, local leaders and organizations are distributing free food for National Service and Remembrance Day. CTV's KESHIA Butts is at Prince George's Community College with details.
I'm at Prince George's Community College for its National Day of Service and Remembrance event. Council members Derek Davis, Todd Turner, Catholic Charities, and other organizations are distributing more than 500 meals to Prince George's County residents.
Prince George's Community College and the Culinary Arts Center is having a community food distribution day. It's important. Today is the day of service because it's September the 11th. So we wanted to make sure that we were giving back to the community with everything that's happening with COVID-19 and let them know that we're here for them.
Big box in. At this point in this country we live in, with everyone in what could be a worse situation, the most important thing we can do is combine, come together, work together, and give to others who are in need. And so, I can't find a better way to spend a Friday or Monday, a Tuesday or Wednesday. Any day that we have the opportunity to bless others, we should.
The meals consist of a frozen protein, they have fresh vegetables, and they also have a hot meal that serves up to 4.
The American Heart Association is also at today's event. This is KESHIA Butts for CTV News. Back to you.
Catholic Charities partnered with PGCTV to distribute the meals. Well, today, as we said, marks the 19th remembrance of the September 11th terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and Pentagon. Aaron Cooper was sitting in his boss's office at the Pentagon watching the news about the Twin Tower attacks when American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon just yards away from where Cooper was sitting. He says the building shook, lights flickered, and there was smoke everywhere. Cooper says the memories are still fresh.
The feelings, they don't change. It was just like it happened yesterday. I still feel a sense of loss of co-workers, a nation being under attack. It's just like it just happened yesterday. Even though it's been 19 years, I still reflect on it from time to time, thinking about life, looking at my children, my wife, and just what we do every day and the environment that we're in now, politically, and all the things that are happening over the world. You just, I just pause and think about my life. And, I'm hoping that as I speak, that people don't take life for granted.
Cooper, who now works at Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, lost 7 co-workers in his office on 9/11. He still works directly with one of the survivors. Meantime, Defense Department officials held a ceremony this morning to honor the nearly 200 Pentagon victims. Defense Secretary Mark Esper and General Mark Milley spoke at the event.
On 9/11, they tried to destroy us, but their murderous intent was never realized. Instead of sowing division and strife, we gathered at the murder scenes in New York City and Pennsylvania and right here at the Pentagon, and we came together as a nation. In the chaos and fog of the attacks, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, civilians, first responders, all brave, all selfless, ran into the flames to help the injured and the wounded.
The Pentagon event was not open to the public. Heavy rain and flooding kept county emergency crews busy yesterday. Fire officials say their crews responded to 134 water-related calls. The calls involved flooded homes and cars. A number of drivers trapped in high water had to be rescued from their vehicles. The situation was so bad, fire officials had to call on neighboring counties for help. A local researcher receives a major grant from NASA to study how the coronavirus is affecting our food supply. University of Maryland researcher Hannah Kerner will use Earth-observing satellites to reveal connections between the pandemic and the environment.
What we're really trying to look at is the effect COVID-19 is having on agricultural commodities markets.
Hannah Kerner is among 8 researchers recently awarded a grant to explore how COVID-19 lockdown measures are impacting agriculture. Kerner is using NASA satellite observations of the environment and the Earth's surface to determine how crops are doing. She'll provide the information to the public to help stabilize markets and prices during these times of uncertainty.
Ethanol demand has been way down during the pandemic because people are traveling much less frequently. Air travel is greatly reduced. That's the kind of effects that COVID-19 is having on these agricultural commodities markets, where we've really seen the price of corn in the U.S. Just going down, down, down during the pandemic because of that decreased demand, and as well as the effects on meat production and processing plants, livestock.
In addition to corn, researchers are also looking at soybeans and winter wheat.
Russia, when lockdowns began back in March because of COVID-19, they placed an export limit on winter wheat that could be exported from Russia because they want to make sure that at the end of their season, they're going to have enough food supply within their own country.
That kind of decision has huge effects on the global market. Via satellite images, researchers are looking at how crops are doing as the season progresses, anticipating production shortfalls and forecasting export limits or bans.
Even though we have seen some impacts to the crop in the U.S. from the derecho that hit Iowa a few weeks ago, we saw a huge amount of crop damage, as well as there's some pretty severe drought hitting Iowa right now, which can also cause damage to crops. Despite those damages, we're still seeing really record production in most places.
Patricia Vallone, CTV News. And you can follow the results on Twitter at NASA Harvest. The COVID-19 death toll in Maryland now stands at 3,685. That includes 6 fatalities reported this morning. Montgomery, Prince George's, and Baltimore counties still have the highest death rates statewide. And weeks after private schools threatened to sue Montgomery County over reopening policies, coronavirus cases have reportedly popped up in several schools. According to the Patch newspaper, health officials are investigating possible cases at 7 schools. Health Officer Dr. Travis Gales declined to name the schools because of privacy concerns. He initially ordered private schools closed for the fall, but backed down after the governor intervened and parents threatened to sue. Prince George's police are investigating 2 shootings that left 3 men dead overnight. The first occurred in the 600 block of Audrey Lane about 9:30 p.m. When officers arrived, they found 2 men suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. Both died on the scene. Meantime, around 1 in the morning, police were called to the 6700 block of Danford Drive in Clinton. An adult male was found with fatal gunshot wounds there. Anyone with information on either of these incidents is asked to contact police. Well, as we told you yesterday, a Prince George's grand jury has decided not to indict the 10 police officers who were involved in the deadly shooting of 49-year-old Leonard Shand, who was armed with 2 knives at the time. You recall that Shand was shot during an hours-long standoff with police near Prince George's Mall in October 2019. 6 of the officers were with Hyattsville PD. Use of force expert Tyrone Powers issued a report about the incident for the state's attorney's office. Powers says on numerous occasions, police did attempt to de-escalate the situation, including backing away from Shand as he walked toward them with a knife. He says police also attempted to tase Shand, and they talked with him at length. All of that ended when Shand charged them with 2 knives.
And officers are trained that when their lives or the lives of others are in imminent threat of death or serious bodily injury, then they can use appropriate force. In this case, because he had 2 knives and he was charging towards them, then deadly force was justified. So I look at the entire picture and then I take it at little snippets at a time throughout. So not only do I talk about whether the force was justified, but I also make recommendations about things that can mitigate this type of situation in the future, so the officers are not put in a position where they have to use deadly force.
And one of those recommendations includes bringing in a mobile crisis unit with people who are trained in intervention. Maryland residents receiving unemployment benefits will see a nice surprise today. Claimants will get an additional $300 per week for 6 weeks through the Federal Lost Wages Assistance Program. That $300 is retroactive to August 1st, and that means those residents will get an extra $1,800 total today, in addition to the regular unemployment benefits. A Maryland judge rules that the companies managing the Purple Line's construction may quit over disputes with the state. Purple Line transit partners say the state has refused to pay about $800 million in cost overruns for the light rail system, which would connect Prince George's and Montgomery counties. Now transportation officials must find a new way to complete and pay for the mega project or settle with the company. Congressman Anthony Brown says Governor Hogan bears full responsibility for the delays and financial disaster confronting Maryland. He says the victims are local families who confront torn-up streets, unfinished bridges, and deferred hopes of shorter commutes and access to jobs. Well, Bowie State alumni, grab your tennis shoes and get ready to cycle for the annual bike tour. The scholarship fundraiser hosted by the Bowie Metropolitan Alumni Chapter kicks off today through September 13th, typically held on campus. This year's event is virtual. And that means you can ride anywhere you choose over 3 days. The Alumni Chapter hopes to raise more than $10,000 for students. BSU's Director of Alumni Engagement, Carla Henry Hopkins, says this is a great way to help young scholars.
Scholarships are always important to help, students matriculate through college and help to relieve some of the need so that they can focus on their academic studies in ways that will lead to their end goal, which is, a granted degree. But even COVID, what we have seen is, that there's students who were working while they were in school to help support themselves. Some of those jobs are now lost.
And since the event is virtual, alumni all over the nation can participate. To register, visit bikereg.com/BSU. Well, if you are a young musician between 5th and 12th grades and you love jazz music, listen up. Virtual auditions for Paul Carr's Jazz Academy are set for tomorrow. The Jazz Academy has been around for 19 years and typically features an ensemble and a large orchestra. But this year, due to the pandemic, it will focus on small group combos. They're looking for kids at any level for both in-person and virtual rehearsals. You just have to want to play jazz.
If you have an interest in playing jazz and having fun and, and collaborating with, younger musicians, that have like interests, we will take it from there. So it's not a big stipulation that's put on what level you need to be at. We take you at the level that you are. And we did this in the summer as well. In the summer we tried it out. It was kind of our pilot, where we did virtual 3 days a week, and then we rehearsed in my backyard on Thursday and Friday. And we had a concert in my backyard. The parents loved it, and they just said this was so good because they needed to get them out of the house safely, of course, and get them around their peers.
Again, auditions start tomorrow. For more information, go to jazzacademy.org. The NFL season kicked off last night with defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City taking on the Houston Texans. It was an entertaining game to watch for fans, with Kansas City easily defeating Houston 34-20. So what will Washington football fans see on Sunday at FedEx when the home team takes on Philadelphia? Offensive line Chase Roulier says he expects a tough game.
We are going into Sunday with a very physical mentality, moving guys off the ball, creating big running lanes for our running backs, and making sure that our defenders are staying off the quarterback. The Eagles' front is is good every single year. You got guys like Fletcher Cox and Malik Jackson over there that are able to get upfield really quick, and also big bodies. They can run down your throat, but also take an edge. Having some familiarity with them allows us to learn some of their tendencies and be able to really know what we're going against. I think this team has come together very well. We're a very close group, even with new guys coming to the room. We've had meetings such as the social injustice meetings that really bond us all very close together and make us understand one another and just know where we came from. And it's that off the field element that a lot of us have gotten over the past few weeks that has allowed us to get closer. I think that allows us to move forward as a team very, very well. And then from a field standpoint, we've been putting in that work every day, and it's evident with, you know, the minimization of our mental errors and just how fast guys are running around the fields, both offensively and defensively. And I think because of that, we're ready for Sunday.
Kickoff time Sunday at FedEx is 1 p.m. And that wraps up our newscast for the evening. Join us again on Monday at 4:30. Have a great night.